What a great time to be a Giant, be a fan of the Giants.
Like, we have something going here. We're building something special, and, you know, you can see it from the outside and inside. It's even more beautiful.
Reflecting on everything that got me here, just to see that uniform, and, you know, I watched, that's the team I watched the most growing up because my dad was a Giants fan, so.
Once a Giant, always a Giant. For me, it's only a Giant.
Welcome, everybody, to a special game day edition of All In with Art Stapleton, a New York Giants podcast brought to you by NorthJersey.com and The Record. I'm your host, Art Stapleton, and we are recording this on Sunday to give you a full day tomorrow, heading into Monday Night Football. Giants, Seahawks, Big Blue the last time they were in MetLife Stadium. Well, I know, I'm sorry. Hate to remind you. 40-0 at the hands of the Dallas Cowboys. That was an ugly game, one that this team wants to forget. And then you had a West Coast trip where we were out in Arizona for a game, then walkthroughs and media availability in a hotel bar. And then you had the game on Thursday night against San Francisco. It's been a crazy start to the season for the Giants. 3 games, 12 days. Not exactly how they anticipated to begin this in the standings, but they are 1-2, and now it comes down to the next 3 games are all against teams that were in the playoffs last year. We know what's coming ahead. The Dolphins, the Bills, both on the road, Bills in prime time, but up first, and really the game that matters most, an NFC game, matters down the road if they can somehow win some games here to get into tie-breaking situations. Seattle is one of the teams that the Giants will likely be facing off at in their dreams in terms of how they project things. So this is a monumental game. Geno Smith comes home to MetLife Stadium. I don't know if home was ever the appropriate word for him, both in his time with the Jets and then obviously the short but infamous stay with the Giants in terms of replacing Eli Manning for that ill-fated game in Oakland that ultimately cost Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese their jobs back in 2017. And, of course, another homecoming and a little bit sweeter. Fan favorite, Julian Love, safety for Seattle, signed there in the offseason. Took the deal that he had gotten from Seattle, called back to the Giants, asked if they would be willing to match. Joe Shane and the Giants had gone in another direction. That was the day they offered the contract to Darius Slayton, very similar to Love, and basically shook his hand, bid farewell. Love landed in Seattle, and now he comes back, still has a lot of friends on this team, people who were in his wedding. He and his wife, Julia, are expecting their first child, so there's a lot of good feelings amongst the Giants in their locker room for Julian Love. There won't be tomorrow night during the game, but I think before and after, I think you'll see a lot of love for Julian Love. And with the media as well. He was a Good Guy Award winner last year, the guy who cooperates most with the media. So Julian Love is a fan favorite, as I said, and beyond the fans, he's just a favorite of a lot of people in this organization. So it'll be good to see him speaking personally and also globally for everyone out there that's going to get the chance to see Julian. On today's show, I got to spend a couple minutes with Kayvon Thibodeaux. Not an extended interview for the podcast necessarily, but I was able to sit with Kayvon for about 4 or 5 minutes and talk about this week, try to get a sense of where he's at. I know he's been under a lot of heat from the fans, from the media. Where are the pressures? Where is the pass rusher that Giants thought they were going to get in year 2, that they got in big moments in year 1? And Kayvon answered all the questions. You know, we talked about it, so you'll get to hear his interview. And you can judge for yourself based on what happens on the field on Monday night. But I'll get into some other stuff afterwards. But first up, let's get to that interview with Kayvon Thibodeaux. Do you ever let yourself get angry? on the field?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about, you got to play with a little bit of anger and play this crazy sport, but not too much where I lose my composure.
How important is that when things aren't going your way, both collectively and yourself?
To keep composure?
Yeah.
Very important. I think that's the whole game. You play so many situations and so many things can happen in a sport of football that, keeping your composure is the only way to win.
I know you always talk about blocking out the noise, that it doesn't matter outside of this, this locker room.
Yeah.
But you are someone who's been critical of your own play.
Yeah.
So through the first 3 weeks, how critical have you gotten over what you've seen?
I think it's it's an understatement to just say this 3 weeks. Obviously, it's the beginning 3 weeks of the season, so yeah, this is the most time you can evaluate. But I think it's just constant evaluation that I have, and it's like when you don't play up to the standard that you want to play at, you have to continue to break down the film and be critical. That's the only way you're gonna get better.
When you break down the Seattle film, do you see opportunities that maybe you haven't gotten to this point yet?
I would say you can't really see the opportunities until you play the game. Because we have a game plan, they have a game plan. So obviously, I see opportunities in the game plan that we've drawn up, but I can't, call my shots until we actually see what they come out with, on game day.
When a team comes in and they're going to want to run the football as much, that kind of takes the pass rush element and kind of puts it to the side a little bit. So when you go into a game, do you have to have different mindsets for different game plans as far as what you're dealing with?
No, I would say every game that we go into, we have a stop-the-run mentality. That's football. You cannot go into a game thinking just only pass rush. So I don't think it's changed. I think, it obviously is a priority to have a great run defense. I mean, they have a great run offense and a great running back, and it's, you got to stop the run to have any chance in the pass.
I was thinking about this for you last year. You come back in week 3, but you weren't at 100% because of physically your injury. But for this year now, I mean, do you feel like at this point it gets to an issue where, I need to reach a certain point for myself and for this defense that maybe you guys haven't collectively yet?
I think, you can't really get frustrated with the moment. You just got to continue to build and control what you can control. Obviously we all feel like we should be playing better or making more plays or, having more stats. But, that's not the way it's played out. So you can't really dwell on that. You got to dwell on what you can get better at. And like you said, being critical of yourself and just understanding that, we're entertainers at the end of the day. The crowd, the fans, everybody want to be entertained. So we just got to do what we can to play the best.
You're a prideful guy. I mean, I think I got that sense from you. You're confident. But have you doubted anything the first couple weeks that really haven't gone your way or this team's way?
No, I mean, it's football, man. You can't. It's like life. My dad always used to tell me, a real man doesn't really complain about his cards. He just accepts what they are and figures out a way to play to play them. So, 1 and 2 are the cards we've dealt ourselves, and now it's just up to us to continue to figure out how to play, the rest of the season out.
You said primetime loves you last year.
Yeah.
You're going into a primetime game that after the last time you were in this stadium, nothing went right for anybody on this team.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that this is a moment that you can take advantage of?
Definitely. I feel like every moment we go out there is a moment, but now this is the next one, so it's the most important, and we got to go execute. They brought us here to make plays, so that's what we got to do.
So there you have it from Kayvon Thibodeaux, and I was thinking about writing the column that I ended up posting on NorthJersey.com on Sunday in terms of what this team is missing and what this locker room is missing. Because I do believe this is a group of players who want to lead, who want to do well, who are not just dedicated to their individual success. And, I came across thinking in my memory bank of covering this team for over a decade now, the presence of an intro role, guys who are willing to challenge other teammates. And I don't know if that player is in this locker room or on this roster right now. I think they all root for each other. I think they support each other. I think there's some constructive criticism to a point. But there's nobody that's going to walk up to Kayvon Thibodeaux having seen things on tape and try to fire him up. And that goes up and down the line. There's a lot of internal motivation that needs to be found from the Giants. And I think sometimes when you're a good team, you find it in other areas. Your teammates hold you accountable. And I'm not saying holding accountable is a lack of leadership, because it's not. I do believe that the captains that were selected do a good job in their own way. I mean, for God's sakes, you've got 10 of them, so they have to be warranted. Brian Daboll's just not giving out Halloween candy to every player in the locker room. But sometimes something is missing, and it leads to comfortability. It leads to maybe a little bit of complacency, because the philosophy in 2022 was, we're going to fix it. It's progress. Trust the process. And the process worked for the Giants in 2022. Sometimes having that same attitude doesn't necessarily work next year. And I think it's a philosophical thing for Brian Daboll to preach that. He believes that. That's the way you get the most out of your team, by keeping things as even keel as possible. You treat every game like a one-game season, and that's the way it has to be. But internally, in the locker room, you don't have to panic, but you can show urgency. And sometimes it takes a voice to be louder than the others, to say what people might not want to hear. And that's not going to come from the reigning coach of the year and Brian Daboll or his assistant coaches. Maybe somebody on the staff would. But you know what? When Antrell Roll spoke back for that team in 2011, he wasn't a captain. He didn't have a C on his chest. But he was a guy who knew if something needed to be said to a certain player, to a group of players, it was said. I don't know if that player exists right now on this team. I think that's what's missing. So, as I wrote in my column, it's time for the Giants to let the dogs out. DAWGS. That's what Antrell Roll always used to talk about. You got to find that dog in somebody, that fight, that mentality that, you know what, when push comes to shove, we are going to be the team doing the pushing and the shoving. And that's figuratively, that's not necessarily literally. And I think that's what's missing with these Giants. And I think until they find that, it's going to be a struggle. And do I think that there could be moments that they find that? Maybe. Someone's got to emerge. Now, Saquon Barkley, it won't be him on the field. He's doubtful for the game. I don't expect to see him. I think he has a good chance to be back from Miami, but that's next Sunday. Andrew Thomas, I told you on the podcast on Friday, even before Andrew did not practice on Friday and Saturday, that I didn't like what I saw early on in practice on Thursday, and he needs more time with his hamstring. So you're going to get Joshua Ezeudu at left tackle. You're going to get Ben Bredesen back at left guard. Then it's going to be John Michael Schmitz at center. Marcus McKeithen at right guard, who you heard from on the podcast on Friday. And then Evan Neal at right tackle. No excuses. This Seattle front is good against the run, but they should be able to throw on Seattle. Now, I understand Reek Woolen comes back. Had an excellent rookie year, is out with an injury. He comes back. He's very good on the boundary. Jamal Adams is now in that secondary. He's certainly a presence that you have to watch. Daniel Jones certainly remembers what it was like back when Jamal Adams was with the Jets, and Adams came in, stole the ball from Daniel Jones, ended up scoring a touchdown. That's a play that Daniel Jones would like to forget, but I'm sure they've thought about it this week. You could take advantage of this Seattle game with the passing game that the Giants have. The vertical routes, but also in the slot. Seahawks are banged up. They don't have those players in the slot to cover the Wan'Dale Robinsons, the Paris Campbells, Jalen Hyatt, Sterling Shepard, if he's active, which I'm not sure that's 100%, and Darren Waller if he goes into the slot. Giants need to expose that spot with explosive plays, and I think that will be on the game plan. So I mentioned Saquon Barkley. Saturday was a big day for him, just to meet the media. It's the first time we talked to him, I think going back to the 14th of September, which is a long time. We're already in October now. So I wanted to record our group interview with Saquon so you can kind of get a sense and decide for yourselves where he's at, what he's feeling. So let's get to that interview with Saquon, and then I'll come back and give you my final thoughts for Monday.
Saquon, there were reports that it was an ordinary ankle sprain, and then Taylor Rooks said it was that you told her it was a high ankle sprain. Is it a high ankle sprain?
Yeah, it's a high ankle sprain. I don't know where the ordinary came from, but not something I'm mad about. Like, people doing their job. But I sat down. I know Rooks really well, obviously. Me and Amani had dinner with her before the game. One of my good friends, so we chopped it up, and I told her what it was. And that's how it went down.
In regards to this week, there would be people that would say you shouldn't play. It's kind of what Austin Eckler's doing. You shouldn't play. A running back shouldn't play without a contract beyond the year until he's 100% healthy. That would be the smart thing to do business-wise. Does that impact your decision at all?
I would agree. I mean, I think that is a smart thing to do business-wise. I think I wouldn't question anybody who's telling me I should do that, but at the end of the day, it's my life. I make the decision, so I love this game, and I feel like if you're able to play, go out there and play. So I'm trying my best.
Saquon, when you clarified what your injury was, did you feel like you needed that out there because you wanted people to know what you were pushing through?
No, it was really simple as like having dinner with a friend.
Oh, okay.
And she works for Amazon, and she was like, "Are you okay if I say this?" Same way if I have a conversation with one of you guys, and I was like, "Yeah, I mean that's what it is. It's not an ordinary ankle sprain." But it wasn't like to push the narrative of this is what I'm fighting through. I don't care enough for that, to be honest. I rather like college. In college, you get hurt, you get banged up. Nobody knows, but it's the rules in the National Football League. Everybody got to have an injury report every single day, and they know if you're limited in practice and your day to day. But that's the rules. But if it was up to me, I'd rather it be. It's football. You get banged up, everyone gets. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Just keep it like that. Just work through it. That would be the way I would like it. But it's not like that.
If it's up to you, this decision, like if it was just up to you, would you play Monday?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's it's my body, my choice. I mean, that sounds crazy saying that right there, but like the reality of it is like if I can go, if my body's telling me to go out there and play, then yeah, that's what I would like to do. But if anybody else is in a situation, or say if some people are in a situation where they don't have a contract behind it and they're doing it for business reasons, I respect that too. Probably is a smart thing to do, to be honest. But I don't. That's not in my makeup and how I view it. So I don't judge nobody if they do that. But for me, if my body's able to go, that's when I will go.
How about the most basic thing? How you feeling? Like, where do you feel you're at?
It's tough. I mean, it's one of those things that I think I'm doing way better than what a lot of people would expect. Especially talking to doctors, I feel like I'm further along, but it's frustrating because obviously I'm healing fast, but you want it to be faster. You want to slide in here, brother? But I'm healing. What did I say?
You want to heal fast. Obviously, you want to heal.
Yeah, obviously you want to heal fast, but it's tough balancing that. But just taking it day by day, just fighting every single day, coming in and rehabbing and trying to get myself back to a place where I can go out there and compete at a high level for my team.
Saquon, does it mean something to you, the fact that if you would get an opportunity to get out there and run around a little bit on Monday, to have a chance to show them that you can play or show yourself you can play, or do you kind of want to have an idea tomorrow or Monday morning?
It would mean a lot to me just to play in general because I love playing football. You don't want to miss games, and I've missed enough games in my career. So if I'm able to, I would love to just go out there and play anytime I can play. That's why last week I was like, hey, if it feels good enough and I can go out there and I can play and protect myself, protect the ball, and protect the QB. And let me try to play last Thursday. And if I can do it this morning, let me try to play. And if it takes to, you never know. Like with these things, it's a tough injury to battle through. But whenever that is, I just would love to be out there because I love the game of football. And that's the only thing that really matters to me.
How much does the past injuries? How much does the past come into the equation for you with the fact that you've had the ankle injuries before, and you've kind of talked about it before? You didn't come back and probably play at the level you wanted, and potentially even maybe came back early. So how much do you have to?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that. That's something that I might have said, but maybe with my left one, when I was dealing with the knee, we still come back from the knee in the left one. So my right one, the first one I did my sophomore year, my second year in the league. I came back earlier than what it said. I guess I'm supposed to be out. The first game I came back, I had a long run for like 40 however many yards. I got called back, and that would have put me over 100 all-purpose yards, and I think 100 yards rushing. And I still finished the season with 1,400 yards that year. So I don't think that doesn't go through my mind like, oh, I came back too soon. And right now it's just like I want to get back. I'm itching and I'm eager to play. I don't like watching from the sideline. I don't like watching on TV. I want to be out there and compete with my guys.
How much do you recognize that this is a team that needs a win?
I feel like every week you need to win. I think you can feel where fans are, where the reporters are, like where the media is at. You can feel that. I don't want to say pressure. I don't want to say a sense of urgency. It would definitely be better to start the first quarter of the season 2-2 than 1-3. So it's like a must win. Every week's a must win. On prime time, Monday Night Football against a really good team playing really well. It would be important to come out with a win. But I feel like every week is like that. You gotta stress it. You gotta feel like it's a must win. But if same thing, like it's the NFL, if you come out and we don't get the job done, you're 1-3. You can't just be like, oh, we gotta set the building on fire. Like we're done. It's because there's still a long season to play. But at the same time, you gotta realize like it's important to go out there and win against an NFC opponent and especially a really good team.
Is it about pain tolerance? Is this about pain tolerance more than anything else? I mean, have they said you can't hurt it any worse? Or
I want to get too much into that. I don't think that's fair to myself or to the doc, so I won't get too much of that, but just leave it as whenever I'm able to go out there and be able to protect myself, protect the ball, and protect the quarterback, I'll be ready to go.
Did you do team drills today?
I can't answer that question.
What do you think your chances are of playing this week?
I don't know. I think I will have a better answer tomorrow, and I'll have a better answer the day after that, and I think that's Monday, right? So we'll see.
Saquon, has any part of your week this week been normal? Like, have you done normal things on the practice field we haven't seen? Have you felt normal this week at all?
No, I wouldn't say it's normal. My routine's the same. The time I come in and what I do. In the weight room, in the training room. Obviously, there's a little more rehab focus with the ankle. But it's just kind of going out there and just testing it, seeing where I'm at, seeing how I feel, see how my body responds. That's really the big thing is going out there and running and putting your body weight on it and trying to move at a high level and competitive speed, and then come out and go to sleep and see how you feel the next day. So that's like I would say that's what I've done. That part of it, but the process is amazing.
How's your body feeling? Trying to cut and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So you feel sick.
Luckily it's a side I've done before, so I think when that happens, your body is able to heal a little quicker and react to it. It's happening already. More times than you kind of
Do you feel better than, say, 2 days ago?
Yeah, every day I would say. Every day. I think Dave's came out and said that, but that's a true statement. Every day it's getting better and better. Trending better.
Thank you.
So there's Saquon, and I think a lot of people will use it as an excuse. No Saquon Barkley, no Andrew Thomas. This team could win without both of those players. Now, it won't be easy, but they're going to need guys to step up. They need this defense to make plays. Bottom line, they need to make plays. They need to get a play or two on special teams. That's how they lost in Seattle last year. Seattle got 2 plays on special teams when the Giants coughed up the football, Richie James. And that was the determination of how they won and how they lost that game, or how they didn't win that game. So, I think the Giants need to start fast. Obviously, they've been talking about starting fast for, it seems, a year and a half. But it's important with the fan base. Fans can be very fickle at this point. You lose 40-0 on opening night, you haven't earned anything. So Giants need a score or a big play early to get this crowd into it, to really feed off of that crowd. When the Giants were at their best at home last year, they fed off the crowd at MetLife. If they struggle early, I think the crowd will turn on them quickly, voice its displeasure, and for good reason. So that's important. I think they need to attack in the passing game tomorrow. I think you need to be wary of, like I said, Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams and Julian Love. They're going to look to make plays. You need to take advantage of them in coverage, especially Adams and Love. And I think the Giants will aim to do that. And then it comes down to Daniel Jones. It's the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows for Daniel Jones, perception-wise, league-wide, both internally, in the fan base, from the media. It's never medium ground. It's never in the middle. It's either he's the worst player or he's the best player. And, a lot's going to be made about his primetime record. I broke it down. Make sure you check out that story. Every primetime game that Daniel Jones has played for the Giants, 5 times they were double-digit underdogs. So this whole idea about how Daniel Jones is the reason why the Giants can't win in primetime, I don't believe that's a fair representation of what Jones has done. Have there been games where he's been terrible? Yes. There have also been games that he's deserved to win. They won at Washington. They should have won at Washington back in 2021. We all remember the missed field goal, then the penalty on Dexter Lawrence. He should have won at Kansas City when Darnay Holmes picked off Patrick Mahomes. But O'Shane Ximenez was offsides, so Mahomes was able to drive the Chiefs down for a game-winning field goal. We know they should have won in Philly at the Link in that primetime game when Evan Ingram dropped the pass that would have sealed the victory. So you're going to hear a lot about Daniel Jones' primetime record on Monday. I think it's 1 win in 13 tries. The biggest win last year up to that point was the win at Washington, and Jones played a clean game that night, and he gets no credit for that as well. And he also won a playoff game that was played at 4:25. So even though that's not prime time, that's certainly a big time spot that he played up in Minnesota. So my pick this week was Giants in a close one. I could see Seattle winning. I could see the Giants winning. It should be a toss-up, and that's what you should get for 2 teams that were in the playoffs last year, that played last year. Giants need to find that edge. They need to find an edge, and it certainly would help the guy we talked to in the beginning of the show, if Kayvon Thibodeaux finds his game from prime time last year against Washington, or late against Baltimore, or the games that he played late in the season, the one at Dallas where he was all over Dak Prescott, even though in a losing effort. Giants need this one. We'll be back to talk about it after the game tomorrow night in our post-game podcast, but I hope you enjoyed this game day podcast. Azeez Ojulari should play. I think the Giants will get him back. That should help up front. He's back from that hamstring. And we'll see what happens. It'll be a long day tomorrow. As I joked, it's a love story Sunday night with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. And it's a love story tomorrow night. Julian Love coming back home to face the Giants. They can use a player or two in that secondary as well against DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba, if he plays. Although Seattle hasn't played much 3 wide receiver stuff this year. We'll see if that changes against the Giants. And stopping Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet will also be a huge factor tomorrow night. Thanks for listening. As always, we're all in. We appreciate you are all in. And we'll talk to you after the game on Monday night.